So let's get on to the subject of property searches, because I think a lot of people don't understand why they need a search. So why is it important?
I would never recommend a person buy a property without searches, to be honest. The searches you order depend on the property and its geography. However, at a very basic level, I would expect a local search, an environmental search, and a drainage and water search. There could be other searches, as I mentioned, like coal mining or even brine in areas local to us. So, for example, the local search gives you information about whether a road is adopted that the property sits on. If the road isn't adopted, you could find after you've purchased that all of a sudden you're liable for repairing that road and the costs attributed to that. It also gives you information as sort of designation of the land, whether it's in a green belt or it's a listed building, for example, which again has a direct impact on your use and enjoyment of the property. There are other things such as whether the property's been subject to any planning permission, any building regulations, that kind of thing. So incredibly valuable and important information to anybody who's looking to purchase a property. The environmental search gives you information, for example, as to whether the land that the property sits on is contaminated. And that can be a big problem because the environmental agency can come after property owners to rectify any damage or any contamination. So again, avoiding hefty bills in the future. Also talks about flooding and environmental risks that we all see on the telly all the time, on the news all the time at the moment. So that kind of climate change information is really important in environmental searches. And then water and a drainage search, from a practical point of view, what happens when you flush the chain? What happens when you run water down the sink? Does water come out of the taps when you turn them on? Where are the drains and sewers in relation to the property? Is somebody going to require access to your property to access those drains and sewers? So really important information relating to the property you're purchasing.
So really important there. At what stage or time in the process do you actually order the property searches?
We would usually order the searches as soon as we've got draft contracts in. We wait for draft contracts because that absolutely tells us the area of the property which we should be searching. So it gives us the extent of the land and the address.
So the draft contract that's sent from the seller's solicitor, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So we receive the draft contract pack, which includes a plan from the seller's solicitors, and we then use that plan, which has the extent of the land, to order our searches.